Most people think gold is just a boring metal, a dusty relic, something your grandpa talks about. But right now, gold is screaming past $5,500. Silver is ripping above 120. And the scary part isn't the price. The scary part is what it reveals about human fear. Because when the world gets nervous, people don't run to truth. They run to whatever feels safe, even if it's an illusion. And today, that illusion is getting more expensive by the hour. If you like mind-blowing money and psychology stories, the kind that expose what people really do when pressure hits, subscribe and hit the bell. Because the next few minutes might change how you see wealth, crypto, power, and even your own mind. All right, let's set the stage. Iran tensions rising, the US Federal Reserve suddenly pausing, the dollar weakening, and in the middle of all that, gold and silver explode upward like a flare in the night sky. This isn't just a market move. This is human behavior under stress. This is fear, greed, and power playing out in real time, because every time the world feels unstable, money becomes psychological. People stop thinking logically, they start thinking emotionally, they start asking one question. What survives if everything breaks? That's what gold represents, not just value, survival, a shiny mirror reflecting panic back at the world. And silver? Silver is gold's younger, wilder brother, the one that moves faster, the one that makes people feel like they're getting in early. And when silver tops 120, that's not just demand, that's desperation. Because people don't pile into metals like this when they're calm. They do it when something feels wrong. And here's the terrifying truth. Most people won't admit they're scared. They'll dress it up. They'll call it a smart hedge. They'll call it a rational allocation. But deep down, it's the oldest instinct in finance. Run, hide, protect. Because when uncertainty rises, the human brain does something strange. It stops caring about opportunity. It starts obsessing over safety. Psychologists call it loss aversion. Losing $1 hurts more than gaining $1 feels good. So when the world looks shaky, people don't chase growth. They chase shelter. And that's when gold becomes a religion. But here's the first mini cliffhanger. When gold surges like this, it's rarely about gold. It's about trust. Or more accurately, the collapse of trust. Because gold doesn't pay interest. Gold doesn't build factories. Gold doesn't innovate. Gold just sits there. So why does it rocket upward? Because people are quietly losing faith in everything else, in governments, in currencies, in promises, in the idea that tomorrow will look like today. That is what you're watching, a global vote of no confidence, and most people have no idea. Now zoom out. The Fed pauses. Sounds boring, right? A central bank decision. But psychologically, a pause is a signal. It whispers, "We're not sure." It tells markets the people in charge may not have control, and humans hate uncertainty more than pain. Your brain would rather know for sure that something bad is coming than live in suspense. That's why fear spreads faster than logic. That's why rumors move markets. That's why a weakening dollar makes metals explode. Because the dollar is not just currency, it's trust printed on paper. And when the dollar weakens, the world starts looking for something else to believe in. Gold is ancient belief. Silver is portable belief. Crypto is digital belief. Three different forms of the same psychological craving: certainty, control, escape. Now here's where it gets darker, because when people rush into gold, they think they're being independent. They think they're breaking free. But often, they're being herded. The same herd behavior that drives meme stocks, the same FOMO that pumps crypto coins overnight. It just wears a more respectable suit. Gold is panic for people who want to look rational. Silver is panic with adrenaline. And crypto is panic with rebellion. But make no mistake, all three are deeply human. All three are emotion disguised as strategy. And the elite know this. The powerful understand something most people never learn. Markets are not math. Markets are mood. Markets are mass psychology. The charts you stare at, the candles, the price action. It's basically a live recording of collective anxiety. And right now, anxiety is bidding up metals like the world is preparing for something. So what is the world sensing? Iran tensions, war risk, supply shocks, oil spikes, trade disruptions. When geopolitics heats up, money gets primal. Because war is the ultimate uncertainty. It reminds people that systems are fragile, that borders matter, that violence is real. And when that reminder hits, people don't want stocks. They don't want bonds. They want something that feels eternal. Gold feels eternal. That's why it's surging. But here's the twist, that fear is only half the story. The other half is greed. Because every time gold makes headlines, a different emotion ignites. Envy, FOMO, the feeling of being left behind. And that's when the crowd joins late. That's when taxi drivers suddenly talk about silver. That's when your cousin asks about buying bullion. That's when influencers start posting gold bar reels. And that's when it becomes dangerous. Because fear starts it. Greed accelerates it. That's the cycle. Panic ignites the move. FOMO pours gasoline, and the people at the top, they sell into it. Because the truth is, retail investors don't buy first. They buy loud. They buy when it's already obvious. They buy when the story is everywhere. And by then, the smart money is already positioned. This is manipulation without needing conspiracy, just psychology. Humans are predictable under pressure. Now let's bring crypto into this, because when metals surge, crypto reacts in a weird way. Some people flee into Bitcoin as digital gold. Others flee out of crypto because it feels risky. So crypto becomes a psychological battleground. Bitcoin is trust in code. Gold is trust in history. The dollar is trust in government. And right now, all three trusts are competing. The weakening dollar pushes people outward. The Fed pause creates uncertainty. Geopolitical tension triggers survival instincts, and suddenly, assets that feel like escape hatches explode upward. This is why Bitcoin pumps during crisis, not because it's safe, because it represents an alternative narrative, a way out. And humans don't just buy assets, they buy stories. Gold's story is timeless security. Silver's story is undervalued potential. Bitcoin's story is freedom from the system. And when the system looks shaky, stories become priceless. But the mind-blowing realization is this. The biggest market moves are not driven by facts. They're driven by feelings about facts. Two people can see the same headline. One panics, one buys, one freezes, one profits. The difference is psychology. Your portfolio is not just numbers. It is your nervous system. And most people's nervous systems are hijacked by news cycles, by fear bait, by dopamine spikes, by social proof, by the constant whisper, everyone else is doing something. What are you doing? That whisper is the invisible hand, not of markets, of manipulation. Because attention is the new currency, and fear is the most profitable attention. Every crisis becomes content. Every spike becomes hype. Every headline becomes leverage on your emotions. Gold at $5,500, silver at $120. Those numbers feel insane, but they also feel like an invitation, and that's where people get trapped. Because the higher it goes, the more it feels like you must act. That's FOMO, the fear of missing out. And FOMO is not just emotion. It is a weapon. It makes people abandon plans. It makes them chase tops. It makes them buy safety at the most expensive price. That's the paradox. People run to gold for protection after it's already surged, like buying insurance after the house is on fire. Now here's the climax. The real story isn't metals. It isn't Iran. It isn't the Fed. The real story is the death of certainty. We live in an era where nothing feels stable. Money is printed. Debt is endless. Politics is chaos. Wars flare up. Technology moves too fast. And the human brain, the same brain built for hunting and tribal survival, is trying to process global finance, so it clings to symbols: gold, silver, Bitcoin, anything that feels solid, anything that feels like control. But control is the illusion, and that illusion is expensive because the elites don't fear volatility. They feed on it. They understand cycles. They understand that panic creates discounts and euphoria creates exits. They don't trade assets. They trade people. They trade your reactions. They trade your stress. They trade your impatience. And the average person, they trade based on headlines, on emotion, on hope, on fear. That's why wealth concentrates. Not because the game is rigged, but because psychology is rigged. Your brain is rigged against patience, against long-term thinking, against calm, and markets exploit that. So what do? You wake up. You stop seeing gold and silver as just investments. You see them as signals. Signals of fear, signals of distrust, signals of systemic stress. You stop chasing, you start observing, you understand that every surge is a message. And the message right now is simple. The world is nervous, the dollar is slipping, power is shifting, people are searching for anchors. And when enough people search, prices go vertical. That creates opportunity, but only if you stay psychologically intact, only if you don't become part of the herd, only if you remember the market is a mirror. And what it reflects is human emotion at scale. Gold at $5,500 is not just money, it's a warning. Silver at $120 is not just a trade, it's a symptom. Crypto volatility is not just speculation, it's society wrestling with trust. So the lesson is this: the biggest financial risk is not inflation, not war, not the Fed. It's your own mind, because fear makes you sell low, greed makes you buy high, and manipulation makes you think it was your idea. The people who win aren't the ones with the best predictions, they're the ones with the strongest psychology, the ones who can sit in chaos and not blink. Because money is not just economics, money is power, money is belief, money is human behavior turned into numbers. And right now, those numbers are screaming. So here's my final thought. When gold and silver surge like this, don't just ask, how high will it go? Ask, what does this say about the world? Because the metal isn't changing. We are. Our fear is, our trust is. Our illusion of stability is cracking. And the people who see that clearly will move differently. They won't panic. They won't chase. They'll understand the game beneath the game, a game of psychology, a game of perception, a game of power. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The real wealth is not in the metal. It's in the mind that knows why the metal is moving. So tell me in the comments, do you think gold and silver are rising because of real fear or because people are being manipulated into panic? And send this to someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe, hit the bell, because the next financial shock won't announce itself politely. It will arrive the way fear always does, suddenly, silently, and then all at once.